Happy Friday, everybody,
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
and welcome to the back catalog listening party. My name is Mother Banjo, one of your hosts.
My name's Anthony Ihrig, the other host.
And today we have joining us, I believe from our home, back from tour, Missy Raines.
Hi, folks.
Everybody's pumped up for this one.
That's right. And Alan joining the party right on time. He said they're promising rain here in Texas, but I figure we got rains no matter what.
Oh,
Ooh,
I
good one,
like
Alan.
that.
All
Alan's
right.
on the ball today.
That's going to be a tough one to follow, folks.
But Severin joining us from Germany, which is
Severin, awesome to
amazing
see
because it's pretty late there. So we appreciate you joining us.
you. How much he supports bluegrass.
Exactly. And Chris says, let's get her started with beer from the land of sky blue water. All right.
Are you doing hams again there, Chris? Oh, boy. It's okay. We don't judge. Whatever is your pleasure. This is our weekly musical happy hour. If you're new to the show, we gather here at 4 o'clock Central Time every Friday to listen to old records from our favorite artists and enjoy a beverage and a snack. I'm going back to see the Sierra Nevada mountains for the hazy little IPA in my back catalog listening party pint glass.
Nice.
How about you?
I made myself a peach and pear gin and tonic.
Ooh,
Getting a little
Fancy.
that is
fancy
very
today.
fancy.
Yeah. And,
I'm having a cold glass of water. Or
Delicious.
nothing wrong with that.
is
Yeah,
it
or is it? Yeah, exactly.
is it vodka? I don't know. I'm just kidding.
We'll
It's
see how
water.
exciting the show gets, and we'll make our own judgments on that. Connie joining us from Richfield. Hi, Connie. And Linda from New Haven, Connecticut. Welcome, all of you, and we're so excited. And Severin, oh, wow, he's drinking coffee. He says it's 10 p.m.
Nice.
He wants to be up for this show.
Wow.
No,
Yeah.
no sleeping for Severin.
And it's good coffee too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So Missy, you're joining us from your home in Nashville, right? Today.
Yes.
And we're so excited to have you here. I know you've been busy on tour. We're going to talk a little bit more about kind of some of the new stuff you have coming out. But again, this show is all about digging back into old records. And for those of you who are maybe less familiar than Tony and I, because we're big nerdy bluegrass fans, maybe you could give a brief origin story about where you grew up and how you fell into playing bass and making bluegrass music.
Yeah, I grew up in a place called Short Gap, West Virginia, and it's northeastern West Virginia, so it's just south of Western Maryland. And so I grew up across the river from a town called Cumberland, Maryland. Um, and my folks were already listening to music, like bluegrass enthusiasts. They were early country music enthusiasts as well, and they were going around hearing music, live music in the region before I was born. And my mom especially just loved music all the time happening in the house. So my brothers and sister were encouraged to play their music as well, which was anything from Southern rock to classical music and pop music. So anyway, I just grew up around it. I think that the thing that got me really started was around the time that by the time I was about 5 or no, I guess I would have been like 3 or 4 years old when the multi-day bluegrass festival started to become a thing. My parents were ready to just that was something they wanted to do. So I literally my earliest memories are from being at multi-day festivals where you camped and you saw music for days at a time. And that's what I grew up going to. And I think that impacted me, hugely, because I was around it. It was not just hearing it on the stereo, but I was seeing it being played in front of me. And I just caught the bug and then wanted to do it.
Nice. Yeah. And I feel like that's I didn't really understand bluegrass until I was at a festival. It's so much about the community and the people as much as it is about the music.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it is the experience. I still think about just being there and as a small kid and just the excitement of it and not even understanding all of the things that were actually happening, but the stars who were playing on the stage and the things that they were going through, now that I very much am aware of the road, the hazards and all that. But they would come out and they would do their set, and how magical it felt to be in the audience and be surrounded by all these other people who loved what was happening. And being outside and just having the magic of this beautiful, good weather, bad weather, whatever, it didn't matter. So yeah, and then after the show, you go back to your campsite or your campfire and play music with people. Even before I was playing, I remember other people coming to our campsites and playing music till dawn, and then you start all over again. So it was like, that's all I wanted to do, was to live at a bluegrass festival.
Well, and you've managed to kind of manifest that pretty
Yeah.
well, I think, having had such a big career making bluegrass music, playing a lot of these same festivals that you grew up going to. So most people know of you as a bass player, one of the most awarded bluegrass bass players around. When did the bass creep into things? Because that's, especially when you think of those late night campfire jams, basses are, a little more to schlep around the campsite.
But in short supply, though.
Yeah, exactly. You're very popular at the jams,
Yeah, this is true. I mean, I didn't, I was playing guitar and I started playing piano and organ and stuff when I was just a little kid, like 8 years old or something. But we were hanging out with friends and folks who were playing, and neighbors, and apparently the adults of this group which included my dad, had a conversation, because my dad had built himself a washtub bass, and that's what he was playing. And I don't know, like, where he learned to do that or anything, but I apparently a discussion was had between the adults that said, well, we might be trying to get some more real gigs, and if we're going to do that, you probably need to get a real bass. And so my dad was like, okay, I'm going to go get a real bass, all of which I found out much later. And so he just brings home this bass, which is the bass that I still play today.
Wow.
But he bought it from a musical family of which I was aware, and brought it home. Apparently didn't discuss it with my mom, because my mom, he called for her at the door, and he had it in his hand, and I will never forget it. She stood there with her hands on her hips, and she said, "What have you done?" And I'm just like standing there, and I'm looking at him. He's at the foot of the stairs with the bass. And then I'm looking at her going, is this going to, like, what's going on? Like, is this going to be bad? But then I could see a smile in her eyes, and I could see his smile in his eyes. And so they were very thrilled. So the bass came into the house at that point, and he did play it. I have a picture of him playing it. I have one really good picture of him playing, and but then I started playing it, and then he just, like, I really got into it. You're a kid. I already had some guitar knowledge. I picked up on it really quickly, and I think the novelty of having a young girl playing the bass, sort of was a hit, and people wanted me to play it all the time, and I wanted to play it. So I basically took the bass away from my father.
Wow. And since then, you've made a ton of records. The one that we're going to revisit today came out in 2018, Royal Traveler. Where does this fit in your discography?
It's the fourth solo album that I've done, meaning just of the fourth project I've done with my own name. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how many albums do you think, I don't know if you even have a number in your head of, like, how many albums do you think you've played on in your career? Because as a bass player, of course, and you've toured with so many great bands, any ideas as to how many albums you might have played on over the years?
No idea.
I really didn't count. Hundreds, probably.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it is definitely hundreds. I'm sure it's probably not more than
Yeah.
that, but I really don't have an idea. Somebody came up to me, like, a while back, and texted me or something, and said, "Hey, I heard you on this song, blah blah blah, with so and so," and I was like, I didn't do that. And I didn't say to them, but then I was like, I have no memory of this. But then, of course, I looked it up and I saw my name. And then when I listened to it, I was like, oh, yeah, I remember this, of course. So anyway, there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
When did you decide, like, I'm gonna strike out on my own and I'm gonna go under my name. I'm gonna start writing songs and putting out records. When did that start for you?
Well, uh, I mean, I'd always had the idea in my head that I would love to have my own band, but I didn't want it because I just wanted to be like the front person. I wanted it so I'd have a lot more input onto like material and arrangements and all of those things. I had so many ideas and thoughts about that. Um, but I didn't see a path. I didn't know how that could happen. But then but so I was in my like I guess I was in my 40s by the time I decided to actually make the move. And I was playing with Claire Lynch, and I
Hmm.
had been playing with her for over the course of like the last 12 years. And at that time, and loving every minute of it. And I just learned so much from her. I was a big fan. I it was just a really great situation. Loved her music. Um, but I also was looking at the clock and going, if you're going to do this, you got to do this
Hmm.
because you're going to get to a point where it's going to be too late. You're going to be, you're not going to want to tour or whatever. I just didn't even know. I mean, now I think about that and I'm like, well, I'm still ready to tour. So there's that. But you just don't know these things, when
Hmm.
you're at certain ages. So anyway, I thought it's like I got to do this now, or I'm just not going to ever be able to do this. I got to make a jump. And I had this idea to put together a band called the New Hip, and there was this whole story about that. But so basically, I joke about the fact I was in 2008. I walked away from a completely perfectly good job to start a band during the year of a recession. And
Yep.
another one of my great decisions. So
Well, there's never like a great time, right? To do something that hard. You just have to do it. Like it'll never be the right perfect time. You
that's
just
right.
gotta jump.
No, and it was absolutely the right thing to do, although it was bittersweet because I didn't want to stop playing with Claire, but I knew that I needed to do it, and it was good that I did it when I did, and we got through it all and everything. But it was yeah, and I did not know what I was doing, period. But and I'm still learning, but I've learned a lot and since then.
Yeah. Well, I think we need to hear some of this Missy
Yes.
Raines music. For folks are itching for it. And again, the album that you picked to feature on today's show is Royal Traveler, and it came out in 2018. And the first song that you picked to feature from it is Allegheny Town. Is there anything you want to say about this track before we take a listen?
I wrote this song about obviously it's about where I'm from specifically, but it's really more of it could be for hopefully for anybody when they reach that point in their life where they coming of age and you want to make a choice to um, maybe where you live there's not as many opportunities, which was the case for me. It was very rural, and I knew that the things that I wanted to have access to were not going to be there. Same for my siblings, my older two brothers and my sister. I had watched them make choices. Some of them stayed and sort of stuck it out and made their way at home, and then others left as soon as they absolutely could. And so I found that process. I find that process just it's fraught with so much emotion, and the choices cost both choices. There's always a cost, and so that's what the song is about.
Excellent. We're gonna give it a listen now. This is Missy Raines, Allegheny Town, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Behind a two-bit mom and pop, a mellow cup spending time that ain't worth much in this alligator town, in this alligator town. Wood stacked high on the south side, where the sun hangs around. Sometimes I can dream I'm flying from this alligator town, trying not to hit the ground. And I can hold you up against the eastern sky. We can try our luck to never say goodbye. A crooked road won't take you far. Borrowed hope can take you down. Giving in loving heart, holding on to what you found in this alligator town. And I can hold you up against the eastern sky. We can try our luck to never say goodbye. Like winter salt on the roads that slowly turns them to clay. You live with what you chose at the end of the day. Behind a two-bit mom and pop, a mellow pub and royal crown, spending time that ain't worth much in this alligator town.
Oh, yeah. Missy Raines of Allegheny Town from her 2018 album Royal Traveler here on the Back Catalog Listening Party. We have Missy Raines joining us live from her home in Nashville today. Folks loving the music.
Yeah.
And yeah, Alan says sweet. Severin pointing out Allison Brown's banjo on that beautiful track.
Mhm.
And David's Mando. Why don't you tell us about the cast of characters? And did I hear Claire Lynch singing on that, or was that someone
Yeah.
else? She has such a distinctive voice.
Yeah, she does. Yes, it was Claire singing harmony, David Benedict playing mandolin, Jake Stargell playing guitar, and Allison on banjo for sure, Stuart Duncan on fiddle, and yeah, it was just a great cast of musicians to play that with me. Yeah.
And also, want to point out that there is a great video for this song, and it has some footage on it. Is that of you and your family, or in that video?
Yeah, so the video is really sweet. Yeah, well, that's my niece and my nephew, right that you're looking
We
at.
can't listen to it, but I'm just going to kind of scroll through it. Here. You can
Yeah,
talk about
and
it.
that's my brother on the left and my husband on the right, and it's all family. And you won't know any of them, but as one of my nieces says, she's like, I don't care if you don't know anyone, it'll make you cry. And it kind of, that is me actually, the tall girl with my niece and my nephew, and that was in 1987 probably. that shot there. But yeah, but the thing of it's precious. And that's my husband and
Oh,
me.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That was the year we got married. And but yeah, there's and that's me playing bass with a bunch of folks who you just passed over.
Sorry
and
about
and
that.
that's all right. And that's me in the back, and then I play with all a bunch of different places, and I was probably,
Wow.
13, 14, 15. But the really cool thing is, at the very end, uh that those two, those are my brothers. And they're just being hilarious. I think I described them somewhere as the two skinny hippies. And they're, like, I could just hear them talking as they're walking towards that. But it was all just home movies, and since the song was very much about all them, I thought that Compass really put it together really well.
That's
And
beautiful.
and then my favorite thing is there's a shot of my sister holding her baby on the day he was born. And the line, the lyric meshes with it as, holding on to what you found. And she was the one of us that stayed in Short Gap and made it work. So
Hmm.
yeah, so it's just really a fun thing.
That's so great. And we're going to link to that in the comments and in the show notes, folks. So if you're just listening, you'll find it at backcataloglisteningparty.com/201. And if you're watching with us here live, I will put that in the comments.
yeah, it's really, really great video. And Bill had a question. He says, if it fits, talk about moving from Charlottesville, Virginia to Nashville and what you hope to accomplish. I mean, I know you've been in Nashville now for a while, right?
Yeah, for a long time. Um, yeah, that was so my husband and I, we met while I was living in Charlottesville. My husband's from Virginia, and um, Ben Surratt, and we I wanted to play music for a living, and was playing music for a living, had been, but he was in radio, but was also a musician, grew up similarly to me with bluegrass in the background of the whole time, and his family all played. And he wanted to make music. He wanted to make a way of music as a living, but he wanted to do it from the technical, and he wanted to be a recording engineer. And
Hmm.
so at the time, he was sort of having a day job in radio, like as an engineer, keeping radio stations on the air. But we knew that wasn't what we wanted to do. So we made the decision to move to Nashville, and he wanted to become a recording engineer. And I thought that it would be a good place for me to play music. So we made the decision together, so that we because I didn't want to, neither of us wanted a life where, like, one person was stuck in a job that they didn't like, and the
Hmm.
other one was getting to do their dream. That just didn't seem right. So we did it. We decided we would move in a year. We would save all this money, and we'd move in a year. And we saved nothing, and we moved anyway.
Yep, there's
Again,
never a great
sometimes you have
time.
to leap,
You
right?
gotta do. You gotta make the jump.
That's the
Yeah.
theme, it seems, is sometimes you just gotta do it. And we're so glad that you did, and all the great
Hmm.
recordings that have been made. The album that we're talking about today is Royal Traveler. It came out in 2018, was nominated for a Grammy, amongst all your many other accolades. It's fun to revisit this record. Connie had a question about the album art, and I was going to ask about this later if it didn't come up, because it's so beautiful and there's so much going on. I mean, if you just look at it as a thumbnail, sometimes you're like, oh, that's a pretty design, but then you look closer and there's a lot
Hmm.
going on with, like, it's like a zebra Pegasus, or is the wings on the person riding it? I can't tell.
It is. So that is one from it's a painting from one of my favorite artists who lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I'm just totally embarrassed because I can't remember how to pronounce his name, because it's but so I'm going to write it out, and I'm going to have the answer because I know how to spell it, but I'm going to uh but he's just an incredible artist. It's the second painting of his that I've used as a cover
Hmm.
for an album. The first one was New Frontier, that came out in, like, 2013. Um, but I will send that to you right when we listen to the next song. But yeah, he's just so his paintings just, I saw that that art just like a postcard that at a store here in Nashville, and I had already seen I had already chosen other art of his, and I saw that, and I was like, that is, when I thought of the whole concept of royal traveler, I was like, would the most royal way you could actually see the world is on the back of a beautiful zebra with wings. I mean,
Nice.
so
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
beautiful.
it is so beautiful.
And we'll make sure to link to that to the artist and everything
yes,
like that.
yes,
We'll get that to you guys.
I'm
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think we need to get to more music, and then we'll get
Yes.
to more
I
questions
know
because
we could
everyone's
talk all day, but yeah, people are loving the music, and we want to make sure we get to a couple more tracks here.
That's right. So the next track that you picked to feature from this album, Royal Traveler, is "Swept Away." Is there anything you want to say about it?
yeah. So, um, Swept Away really was kind of the keystone of this album, and it I didn't know it was going to be when we did it, but Allison had the great idea. So Allison Brown produced this album with me, and I she had the idea. Well, first of all, Lori Lewis wrote the song, and
Mm.
she and I've been friends for years, and she uh, said, "You should do Swept Away." And I was like, "Yeah, I love that song, but I don't know, if we can, if it'll work on this album or whatever." So Allison and I talked about it. We said that, yeah, this would be a great fit. And then Allison said, "I think we should we should get, at that point when this record was being thought of, when we were recording it, I was the first woman to have won Bass Player of the Year. Allison was the first woman to have won Banjo Player of the Year. Becky Buller was the first woman to have won Fiddle Player. And at that point, Sierra Hall had won Mandolin Player. But at that moment, Molly Tuttle had not yet won Guitar Player of the Year, but she had been nominated, and we all just thought, she's got to win. But Allison had the really great idea to put the five of us together to record this song, and sure enough, Molly did win, and so then that same day, while we were all recording this, we recorded a video for Allison for Deering Banjos called, we did a version of John Hartford song, which came out. And just the combination of that video coming out and then this song being released shortly after, everyone said, "Is this a band? Like, can we hire this band?" And of course,
Yes.
that was never the intention. But when a lot of people start asking for it, then we have played as a band several times, and then we had to have a name. So then we came up with First Ladies of Bluegrass, and which honestly would not have been my first choice, but it did describe what we were. And we didn't, there's never any intention for us to mean that we were the first women like that played bluegrass, but it was just that the very literal sense of all the first women to have won in our instrumental categories. So all of that is to say that this song became really like a keystone of the album, because it did get a lot of attention in it, and I'm very grateful to those gals. And for Allison and I, who are similar aged, we remember when there was a time when you didn't know like 5 women band leaders at the same time. And so it's especially just amazing to be with them all and see the presence of women in bluegrass today the way it is, and it's in great hands.
All right, and it sounds so good. All right, everybody, buckle in. This is Missy Raines, "Swept Away," here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
I was walking down the street today when I thought I heard a tune you used to play, and I was swept away. Well, I could have sworn I saw you from the corner of my eye, but it was something familiar about a passerby, and I was swept away. Now it seems that everything reminds me of those days. You were the wind that brought the clouds and rain, but now the wind has come to clear my skies again. I feel you near me, though I cannot see your face, and I am swept away. Oh, the other day I thought I heard you speak my name. Electricity shot through me when my mind was playing games, and I was swept away. It's just I can't forget you. No, I'm not holding on. For a love that's freely given is never truly gone, and I was swept away. Now it seems that everything reminds me of those days. You were the wind that brought the clouds and rain, but now the wind has come to clear my skies again. I feel you near me, though I cannot see your face, and I am swept away. Now it seems that everything reminds me of those days. Now it seems that everything reminds me of those days. I was walking down the street today, and I thought I heard a tune you used to play, and I was swept away. I was swept away. Swept away. I was swept away. I was swept away. Swept
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh,
That's so good.
so tasty. That is Missy Raines with Swept Away with an all-star with the first ladies of bluegrass there. Again, Alison Brown on the banjo. Tony and I pretty psyched about that.
Yeah.
Becky Buller on fiddle. I should say both Alison Brown and Becky Buller have been past guests here on the Back Catalog Listening Party. And you mentioned Lori Lewis as well. She's been on the show. And then, of course, hopefully future guests, Sierra Hull and Molly Tuttle, sounding so good.
So good.
The arrangement is so amazing. And earlier you were talking about how one of the reasons you wanted to lead your own band was to be able to have more of a say in both the content of the songs as well as the arrangements. And I know you were working with Alison Brown and, of course, these amazing cast of players, but did you have an idea of the arrangement, or did you just sort of go into the studio and see what was going to happen with all these amazing musicians?
Well, no, I didn't have an idea. Alison Brown is like an arrangement ninja.
Yeah.
Like she's so much better at that stuff. Now, I am really good at once it's sort of like roped in, and then I'll start to see how I want it to play out, and I might offer things that maybe make good changes or whatever. But she's the one that, like, sitting there, she's got the blueprint already in her head, like she'll look at something and she can immediately just think of what some great idea. So like that's her strong suit. So if you love the arrangement, it's because of her.
Well,
Well,
thank you, Allison,
yeah,
because
thanks, Allison.
amazing.
But I want to ask about like that last song towards the end. It just felt like a really natural back and forth. Like you guys were just having a musical conversation in the studio. You guys all just in one big room jamming together. How did the song come together?
Yeah, we did. We got together and we came up with the arrangement in the studio. I've got I think I might have sent a photo of us sitting all around in the room. But
Take a look for that.
yeah, but so we just came up with it there. And the only thing I do remember, there's a line that Molly sings at the end, just this really sort of swooped note that just has this tiny moment of almost dissonance, but it's not. It's just great. And I asked for it specifically because it was my roaches moment.
Oh,
Love the Roaches.
I love the roaches. And so what was really fun about that was I think Molly was already familiar with the roaches, but Sierra wasn't. So she's like, well, send me the roaches. So I sent her, like, after the thing, like I sent her a link to the roaches. And so she listened to them a little bit, but I don't, anyway, so that was something that I remember we created and that in the moment.
nice. And speaking of that moment, we got a nice shot here.
Oh, wow.
For those of you just listening, we're looking at a great picture of the first women of bluegrass working up maybe this song.
Oh yeah, we were definitely that's what we were working on.
That's so cool. And for those again who are just listening, we'll make sure to put pictures and all these show notes in on our website at backcataloglisteningparty.com.
And it looks like Alan chiming in saying, I was getting a definite Roaches vibe for sure. And and that's what's so cool about when you're talking about your background of listening to so many kinds of music is that, the Roaches, of course, more of a, folk pop sister trio. And you don't usually hear Roaches references in a lot of bluegrass music, but again, it's all there. It's about harmonies and it's about unique ways of coming to the music, which I think is so great. And I know that you've brought in so many different styles, like one of the new hip albums has more of a jazz kind of vibe. So is there any genre that you're like dying to dive a little further into or bring your bluegrass sensibilities into that you haven't gotten a chance to yet?
No, I've done it. I've done a lot of diving, and I've loved it. I'm really enjoying the deep dive into bluegrass again right now. That's but I also wanted to say too that part of the reason that we don't hear Roaches come up in the bluegrass conversation so much is because the Roaches are clearly a female voice, and for me, I mean, I was introduced to them when I was coming of age, and it was just like, oh my God, like these women are inside my head, like they're saying things that I had not been hearing in any other music before. So it was very liberating for me. And it didn't seem a very far cry from the acousticness of their first couple of records wasn't a very far cry from bluegrass. So what I think that's, just because back then, back in the 70s and the 80s, there wasn't as much. There definitely were some very strong female voices within that early bluegrass for sure, in country. I mean, don't get me wrong, they were there and they were important, but there wasn't as much of that voice happening. And so the Roaches were definitely something I cling to early on.
Yeah. That's awesome. And we've had some Roaches on our program as well.
Right.
We'll make sure to link to that. So for people who are new, we can maybe see some interviews with those folks, because those were special episodes too.
They're my heroes. Yeah, that's so great. And but yeah, as far as other kinds of music, yeah, I definitely like the whole new hip thing was about going into not jazz per se, but the jazz that I recognized from like dog music, from what Tony Rice and David Grisman kind of put together. Those things also affected me deeply at a time when I was much younger. And so I was just trying to extend that into my being and how my perception of it. And I've recorded a lot of music like that within the bluegrass big tent, so to speak.
Yeah. And man, this album is sounding so good and folks are loving it. And I have to say, if you're listening here on YouTube, all I can say is you need to get the high res
Yes.
audio of this tracks.
Yes, you do.
Physical copy at MissyRaines.com. I believe you still have CD copies there, right?
Oh yeah.
And so you can get that. She also has some beautiful T-shirts, and or you can download the high-res digital files. But you need to hear it in its full glory. All the nuance that we heard in that last track is really special. So
this really does sound good. I mean, and you're not going to get the full experience without at least the WAV or FLAC files. So yes, please do.
And this is a great opportunity also to mention that not only can you get this record we're talking about today, which is her 2018 release, Royal Traveler, but Missy Raines has a brand new record out. Congratulations, Missy. Oh, sorry, I have a cat situation.
It's okay.
This is a new one.
I think this is...
Go ahead, Missy.
I love that. What's her name?
This one's Lily.
That Lily made an appearance as we're talking about Highlander. It's like to me it's perfect timing. Yeah, it's a brand new record called Highlander.
And you're on tour now supporting it, and it sounds amazing. And again, we were talking about how you're kind of enjoying the deep dive back into bluegrass, and that's what this record is. I mean, it's a serious bluegrass record.
It is. I'm glad you said that. It is. I wanted to make something that was undeniably bluegrass,
nice.
and it was just. It was easy to do that, meaning that it was just like all I had to do was just do what I love and what my first love, and think about that. And I found this. I've got this incredible band, Allegheny, and they are amazing, and they know this vocabulary, and they love it. It's their first love, so it's really a fun time.
This is such a killer band, folks.
Really?
You don't want, if Missy's coming anywhere near your town, you don't want to miss this group of musicians.
And thankfully, she's coming near our town. Tony and I are based here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and coming next weekend to the Hook and Ladder Mission Room, which is a great listening room space, and also some local folks that we know. An all-star local bluegrass band called the Lake Monsters Bluegrass Band are going to be opening up the show. So it's going to be a hot night of bluegrass, folks, on Saturday, March 23rd at the Hook and Ladder in Minneapolis. But again, she's touring all over the place. So chances are Missy Raines and Allegheny are coming near you. And if they are, you need to check them out. That's all I'm saying.
You can find all the information you need and the CDs and everything else at MissyRaines.com. We'll have that in the comments and show notes.
And well, we want to get to more music from this record because so good, so good. And the next track you picked to feature is, I believe, the title track.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
Is there anything you want to say about this before we take a listen?
So this song came from I think I might have sent a picture of this little vintage blue suitcase.
Oh yeah.
And so this album was a very personal album for me, and I had by the time that I got to record it, I had between my husband and I, we'd lost a lot of folks and in our family, and that suitcase I found at a thrift store somewhere in North Carolina on the road, and that was just that. And then I sort of carried it around with me. And in 2015, I was touring by myself, driving by myself, and I'd been out on the road for about 2 weeks, and it had been snowing every single day. And I was driving in the snow, which I'm used to because I grew up in West Virginia. That wasn't the problem, but it was. I was very tired. I was weary. I was a weary traveler, and I left early one morning, and before dawn from my sister-in-law's house in Virginia, and I had a long drive and into West Virginia to see family, and I wanted to go, but it was emotional and there was all this stuff and it was snowing again, and I knew that the road I was going to be on, I was going to be literally traveling for like 30 miles an hour for 4 hours. And so anyway, I'll try to make this as short as possible, but I literally picked up that suitcase in the dim light. And for the first time, I noticed on the handle that I knew it was a vintage suitcase, obviously, but I read the words. It said Royal Traveler, not Samsonite, because like it's a Samsonite suitcase, but this one was one of those that was called Royal Traveler. And I looked at it in that moment by myself in the dark, in the cold, knowing I was going outside, and I thought, yeah, I am a freaking Royal Traveler.
Nice.
And I just said that, and it just kind of made me feel like, yes, I am, like, I'm going out into this snowstorm and I'm going to drive and I'm going to keep doing this because I am royal and I am a traveler. And anyway, it just kind of went from there. And I literally, like, that whole day while I was driving in the snow on back roads in West Virginia trying to get home, I had notebook paper like next to my thing, and I was literally driving and writing at the same time.
Oh my gosh.
And every thought that I could, obviously not scribbling and stuff like that, but all these things came into my head. And so that was a very important day. I didn't finish the song that day. I ended up not like having lots of versions of it. I ended up going to my guru, my mentor, and my favorite songwriter in the whole world, Ed Snodderly. And you should definitely check out Ed Snodderly if you don't know who he is, and he should be on here. But and I said, he's my good friend because I played with him and the Brother Boys for a long time. And I said, will you write this song with me? So we did, and we came up with a song, and the song just basically it's just sort of an autobiography of my life in a way, but it's just that it just means so much. It has so much meaning, but it's not like anyone's going to get it except for me. But this is that song.
All right, well, let's give it a listen. This is Missy Raines, Royal Traveler, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Looking at my suitcase, sitting by the door, the scent of perfume powder my mother used before, carrying all I own. Loved ones come and stand and wish me in my leaving, do the best I can. Still I get this feeling like a pull from the moon. I need the sanctuary that holds the silence in the room. Cross by the roadside and leads this pilgrim home. I hear my mother's prayer. I find another dawn. I am a royal traveler, my life a long played song. I know sweet Mary will help me get back home, will help me get back home. Everything you give me, in everything I take, I'm lifted like a sail. Cross by the roadside and leads this pilgrim on. I hear my mother's prayer. I find another dawn. I am a royal traveler. My life a long played song. I know sweet Mary will help me get back home. Will help me get back home. Under wings of angels. Under wings of angels. Under wings of
I just got chills, that ending of there. And that was Missy Raines, Royal Traveler, the title track to her 2018 release, which we are revisiting today with Missy, joining us live here on the Back Catalog Listening Party. That from start to finish, that song is just so amazing. Like from the bowed bass to those last notes, it's haunting and beautiful and ethereal. And that cover couldn't be more perfect, especially after hearing that song. Talking about being on the wings. I don't know. It's just it's
you.
beautiful, and
Thanks.
folks really loving it as well. And again, you can get this album from her website, as Alan did. Alan said
Yes.
he wants it autographed, and I bet you could get yours autographed too if you order it from MissyRaines.com or pick it up at a live show. And Becky Schlegel, another past guest, joining us
Becky.
today.
Yay.
Loving the cover art. And we should mention we did post in the comments a link to the artist who did that cover art, and so you can check it out there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. And I saw that Severin mentioned Ethan Ballinger, and Ethan, you know, he played with me for years in the New Hip, and as first as mandolin player, and then as a guitar player, and then he produced the New Frontier album that I did before this album. And Ethan's one of the most amazing musicians that I've ever encountered in my life, and yeah, he is just a master. He's currently playing with Lampert, the country star. Miranda, yeah. But he's doing that, but he's also like doing all these like amazing custom projects and stuff. He's just truly like amazing. And his guitar playing on that kind of thing, that ethereal sound, is one of my most favorite things in the world.
I loved the choices of instruments here. You weren't like, let's make it all bluegrass instruments. No, I mean, there was drums and there was this electric guitar and stuff like that. Was that a vision that you had for that song? Like how to express it? It was such a personal thing for you.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I've done every record I've ever done up until Highlander. Is I have made it a point of not worrying about whether that every song on whatever album needs to fit into a particular genre or style. And so it's like, if the song needed this, then we did this. I mean, I've got on the very first record that I did in 1998, I put saxophone on it. I mean, I was bluegrass, bass player, but so that's always been my thing, was like, just don't worry about it. Just do whatever you want. Put all the songs together. So that's just what I do. But for Highlander, I didn't do that. I actually made a specific, purposeful decision to make this album a certain way with certain instruments. And if the songs didn't fit, then it was going to be, I'll put those songs on another album. But Royal Traveler definitely was still part of that whole whatever goes kind of thing. And that's just sort of how I've always done it. it makes it harder for people to, I think, categorize the music. I think, but it's just where a lot of times I find it really the most fun to make music that way.
Well, I can see as if you're joining us here on YouTube, you can see behind Missy, there's a bunch of instruments. So you can, the bass is on the left. You see, I saw acoustic guitar and banjo, I think, back there, but I also see an electric guitar back there. So again,
Nice.
not always sticking to the immediate bluegrass expectations, which I think is great. We're going to try and squeeze in one, maybe two more tunes if we can. But before we do that, I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for joining us today, but especially our Patreon supporters. These are the folks that have kept the Back Catalog Listening Party going this is our 201st episode. And this is all because of these folks. These folks have supported the show, continue to, and be a part of our great music loving community. Penny, Ann, Alinda, Bevan, Connie, Vaughn, Alan, Chris, Alex, Becky, Peggy, Joe, Jim, Beverly, John, Fred, Tim, Sarah, David, Jocelyn, Matt, Steve, Mark, Homestead, Pick and Parlor, Severin, Lynn, Mary, Many Tracks, Nikki, Joni, David, CJ, Wiley, Stephanie, and Christy, and maybe you. If you would like to join our Patreon community, get first look at all the guests, and also you can get one of those cool pint glasses that Tony is sporting today with his beer, and get invited to special after parties and other cool stuff. Then you can join our Patreon community. But mainly, thank you for being here, because this is what we love, just listening to music, talking about it with the artists joining us. So having you with us today, Missy, is so special, because we're such big fans. And
Thank you.
we're gonna get right into our next song, so we can see what we can fit in here today. And this one is Darlin' Pals of Mine. Sorry. Is there anything you want to say about this quick before we take a listen?
It's just a tribute to Jake Tulloch and Earl Scruggs' classic Darlin' Pal of Mine, and Allison, again, the ninja, had the idea to make it 3 bass players, 1 bass, so 6 hands and 1 bass. And we did a video with it, so you can see what's actually happened. But in the studio, we actually, for the whole for 3/4 of the first part of the song, it's just 1 bass, and we're actually literally moving around the bass in the studio, and that's how we recorded it. And then you can see it in the video. If you send a link for that, you can watch the video, and it's really fun.
That's awesome. I will. While we're listening here, I'm going to try to dig that up and get it in the comments. But for now, let's give it a listen. Missy Raines, Darling Pals of Mine, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Oh, and
Sorry. Yes.
I'm sorry. The bass players are Todd Phillips and Mike Bubb. Those are very important names.
Yes, bass players. We need to make sure we always introduce the bass players, right, folks?
Yeah, it's me and Allison Brown, Mike Bubb, and Todd Phillips. And those 2 bass players are 2 of my heroes and my friends. So that's,
the best in the business, folks. This is Missy Raines, Darling Pals of Mine, Back Catalog Listening Party.
Yeah. That was
Oh my goodness.
that was amazing.
That
And
was insane.
and Tony's props to you for syncing the video too.
That was not
Yeah.
intentional, folks.
That was
I literally
amazing.
I just hit in the middle of it, and then I thought, well, I'll show people what's kind of going on, and it just so happened to line up. That was
Perfectly.
the bass gods were smiling on us today. Holy cow, that was super fun. And if you're just listening, we're going to link to that for sure in the show notes. That's a video y'all have to see.
Yeah, with them passing the bass around, it's just so amazing. And yeah, timed so perfectly. Folks loving that and loving this whole show. What a special hour to have Missy Raines joining us to talk about this Grammy-nominated record. And I think you all know why. I mean, the performances, the songs, the arrangements, everything about it.
Personnel.
And yeah, Alison Brown's ninja production
Right.
skills, all of that. So grateful to have you all here enjoy it with us. And again, if you want to get a copy, you can go to missyraines.com. You can also pick up her new bluegrass record called Highlander and some really sweet t-shirts as well. You can check out her tour dates there. And Twin Cities folks can check her out next Saturday at the Hook and Ladder Mission Room, which is going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, I don't think we could have more fun on a Friday than this.
I know that.
Pretty much.
That was amazing.
So thank you all for being here. If you're new to the Back Catalog Listening Party, we do this every Friday at 4 p.m. Central, not with Missy Raines every week. So I'm sorry to say,
sorry.
but with other great musicians like some of the folks we mentioned, like Alison Brown and Becky Buller and Lori Lewis and the Roaches and all these folks.
Robbie Folk.
Robbie
Folks.
Folks. Yeah, exactly. So if you want to know what's coming up, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you like it, as we know you have been liking it, like it, give it the thumbs up, direct more bots to Missy Raines. But mainly thank you for being here and participating in this listening party. I
Yeah.
agree. Terrific show indeed. And Missy, you're the reason for this hour
Missy,
of music.
thank you so much. This went by so fast because it was so fun and so good.
It did. I really appreciate so much a chance to showcase something that is like, I love the idea, the concept, something that's in the past, so to speak, but it's really nice. Thank you.
And we're going to be linking, you can watch this episode here on YouTube anytime, but we'll be linking to it on the Back Catalog Listening Party website, backcatalog.listeningparty.com, with the show notes, with these links to all these videos, which you can check out. And there are like 2 songs we didn't get to that we were hoping we were going to get to. So this is all to say you have to buy the record. And listen, because I hear that there's a Radiohead cover on it. Just saying.
It's not a cover. It's an influenced by Radiohead.
Even better.
Influenced by Radiohead. So you'll want to check that out. But thank you, Missy, for joining us. It's been really special.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
We hope to see you all again next Friday here on the Back Catalog Listening Party. Until then, keep supporting independent music, and we'll see you next week here on the Back Catalog Listening Party. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.